Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Evening. Is it evening technically? It's 5 o'clock. I don't know if you class that as evening or not. But hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, your authentic football fan channel dedicated to Manchester United. It's me. It's Shreyas. It's your breaking news show. It's your Sunday social, should I say. More to the point. Have you had a nice weekend, Shreyas?
Yeah, I had a nice weekend. Have my first job starting from tomorrow as well. So it's my
Oh,
last fun weekend, I would say, in a way. So
interesting.
yeah, glad to be
Your
here.
first ever job?
Yeah,
Oh,
apart from
wow.
gaming.
Oh, shit, yeah, of course. Am I obliged to ask what job it is, or do we keep that?
It's in customer relations.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Very nice, very nice. Interesting, starting out. You're like a flower that's constantly growing, isn't it? Every time there's a new show between us both, there's
Yeah,
there's always a new development. So it's
just
nice
like
to hear.
United.
Exactly, yeah. Just like that, and that's how we're going to segue
Yeah,
onto it. Perfect, good stuff. On today's show, we're going to discuss Frankie de Jong. It's come back. The story has come back, and there's some quotes that we want to dive into and want to discuss the potential of signing him in the summer if it's possible. We're going to discuss Ahmad and Pellistri future as they've got contract talks, discussions, whatever you want to call it. And we're also going to touch on Dean Henderson going out the door. Should we actually let him go? Or is there a potential spot for him next season? Let's see what Shreyas thinks about that. But before I do that, you know the script, guys. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do smash a like on the video. If you want to become a Real Red Ultra, a member of the Ultimate Footballing community, you can do that as well by clicking the join button next to the notification bell. You receive exclusive content every single Monday. The video that's dropping tomorrow is my 99 treble team clashed with the Man City potential treble winning team. And it's basically a combined 11 and who I would put in there and why. So interesting one. And obviously, whoever it is who's getting involved, the 9 members that we have, make sure you drop your team in there as well. Now, we'll start off with the De Jong story, Shreyas, because this is the big talking point. And there's a few quotes. So I'll just dive into the quotes and then we'll get your thoughts. And anyone who's just tuning in now as well, more than welcome to jump in the chat. Let me know your thoughts about Frankie de Jong as we go through these quotes as well. So, he's got asked about like his time at United and not his time at United, his time in the Netherlands. Sorry, he's not been at United. I wish he was speaking about his time at United. He was speaking about his time at Netherlands, time at Barcelona and stuff, and a potential transfer this summer.
Yeah.
And he was saying, well, you don't know how things will go this summer. It'll be different again, but I feel good here. United already spoke with Barcelona despite the fact that I wanted to stay here. The club was in a difficult situation. They were able to sell me for a big fee and they wanted to do this, but I did not want to leave. I wanted to stay. If everything goes well for me and the club, then I want to stay here for as long as possible. Look, I want to preempt this by kind of saying this player is very, very close to my heart, as a lot of people would know. I think he would be the perfect option for our midfield. The boat seems like it's sailing away, but if you just squint intense enough, you'll see the little dot in the background where the boat is still there. You can still see the boat at this point. It seems like he's liking life, doesn't it, Shreyas, at Barcelona? We know financially they are a little bit of a mess. There's talks of bringing Lionel Messi back. Is this a deal you would authorise if he wants to come back? And how much do you think he's worth?
I think he's worth at least 65 million or 70 million. And I think if they do want to bring Leo Messi back, I think one of the players that they will have to offload would be Frankie de Jong.
Okay.
I think definitely, if you bring him into United, you probably have the best midfield in the Premier League with Casemiro, Frankie de Jong as Bruno Fernandes, because I think what Frankie de Jong would actually help out Casemiro a lot as well, because right now when you have to look at work rate, and when you have to look at a player who's doing most of the job when it comes defensively, it's Casemiro in that midfield, and that's why you can see sometimes you can see him tipping off a little bit. Maybe it's because he's maybe fatigue is catching up to him at sometimes, because every single week or every single 3 days you have to do practically every single job of the midfield on your own. It is a very hard task to do, especially with the intensity of the Premier League as well. With someone like Frankie de Jong, that I would say pressure actually comes off his shoulders, because he has someone who's physical enough to complement him and run the engine room in the midfield as well. Someone who can pass, someone who is able, who's quick enough to actually be able to focus on transitions as well when you're hitting on counter attacks. So I think there's no doubt, whether he fits into this United team or not. I think he perfectly fits that system. I think he'll be the perfect number 8 to be, as a target for next season. But I think the only problem I have with this deal is you practically, you're taking out a player who's in a very good ecosystem, and according to him, he's in the best club or the best environment that he could ever be in, and he doesn't. His primary thought isn't about leaving Barcelona. So that is the
Yeah.
only concern I have, because any other player, if you take, like if hypothetically it would have been a Jude Bellingham and he would have said that, I do want to leave Borussia Dortmund and join another club, then it would be a different scenario. There's
Yeah.
the scenario here is he doesn't want to leave Barcelona. He wants to stay at Barcelona and continue there in that midfield for I don't know how much time, but for a considerable amount of time. And right now he doesn't want to move. So that's the only concern I pretty much have with this deal. But as a player, I think he's an exceptional talent.
He's unbelievable, and
Yeah.
I think in the midfield, Casemiro, De Jong, and like Bruno, like you said,
I think the
would be
best midfield in
unbelievable.
the PL. One of the best midfields in the PL.
No doubt. We've got 8 people in the chat. Make sure you do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts about Frankie De Jong. Talk to us. We want to hear your opinions. Drop them in the comment section. If not De Jong, then because of the reasons that you were speaking about there, Shreyas, who are you currently looking at right now for midfield position? Who would be perfect for you, and why, do you think, in Europe? You look at some of the talents. Because De Jong's that kind of echelon in it, like you don't really get him, you don't come around that often. We obviously got Christian Eriksen as like a bit of a stopgap, and it was like a bit of a it was on a free signing. He's been amazing, but he doesn't offer the all-around qualities that De Jong offers for me.
I think Ruben Neves would be a very good signing. As that I mentioned, I think Ruben Neves could be a very good signing. I think he's hinted it on a lot of occasions this season that he wants to leave Wolves and join another team next season. Once again, he's been linked with Barcelona a lot. I don't know how they might pull it off, but I think if they sign Neves, then they will have to, at least offload one midfielder they have, because I don't think a player like Neves would like to move to a team where he wouldn't really get constant minutes. And
on that though, just to cut you in on that, he might play as a 6 because Busquets is going.
Yeah.
So they might play him as a 6. They might play De Jong next to him and then have Pedri.
But they still got Kessie, so they would still have to offload at least one player of that midfield for Neves to actually get constant minutes in. And I know that Ruben Neves can do a very good job as a 6 as well, but primarily he is an 8. Primarily, he's someone who likes to move forward. He's got really good range when it comes to his shooting as well. So I think he is one person who could actually be very good alongside Casemiro, and probably would provide Bruno with the freedom to move forward. Probably provide Bruno with a lot more freedom to actually play some, I would say, dangerous passes as well, because with Neves behind you, you've got that freedom to win back possession if you lose it, and then you've got Casemiro to cover for Ruben Neves as well. Except that, I think once again we'll have to look at the relegation teams as well, who would genuinely be going down, because you could steal some talents from them. You could take Lavia from I would say Southampton. I think he's a very bright talent. He's very young. I think he's someone who I think in 2 or 3 years' time would actually shine more. But I think he's a very good player at his age, and could be someone who could put in the midfield alongside Casemiro, and he could do a good job.
There is a tie to Manchester City, I believe, though, with Lavia.
Yeah,
I think it's something where they get first refusal on him, I think.
Yeah.
So that could be an issue going forward. But Lavia is a very talented. You got Onana as well.
Onana can be a good player. I think, except that Ndidi could be a very good player as well if Leicester go down, which I think they genuinely would go down.
He'd be more cover. He'd be cover for Casemiro. Are you on about Barcelona here, or are you on about for United?
For United.
United, yeah. So he'd be cover for Casemiro.
He could be good cover for Casemiro right now. I think he's better than McTominay or Fred in that position.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He genuinely is.
Sure. I remember people speaking about Ndidi last year and a few seasons ago. Yeah. He's the guy you go get to start right now.
He was practically a dream signing. Like pre-COVID, he was the dream signing as a CDM for any top 6 club. There is still the option to sign pretty much Yuri Telemans on a free deal. But
I'm not out with that one.
Yeah, exactly. On this season, after the season, I'm pretty 50-50 on Tielemans, the way he's performed this season. And I think the biggest question mark about Tielemans is no other club has actually come in for him till now. Like that's
what I'm saying.
With no one. Arsenal wanted to sign him practically, for any amount of fee they wanted to, but now even they've, pretty much taken a back step when it comes to signing Yuri Tielemans. So that's why I don't want to go for Tielemans. But if it comes down to the wire and you're not getting anyone, I think Tielemans could do a job, but he's not my first priority. I think I would sign Palhinha. I think Palhinha from Fulham, I think he'll slot in right away in that midfield alongside Casemiro.
We've got that in the chat saying Glazer's delaying the bid is the hot news right now. Yeah, there is no update on that if anyone's wondering. If you're watching live or watching later, nothing as of yet. So they might break whilst we're live, but it's been very, very quiet on that situation. But you kind of segue to the next question for Shreyas. In regards to the summer in general, do you think we'll miss most of these main targets? We're talking about getting a midfielder. We're talking about bringing a striker in. Does it feel like it's kind of going that way now?
I think it could be. I think we could be looking at a case where Ten Hag wouldn't get his first choice players. You'll have to go in for someone different, someone who's not, I would say, number one on, when Ten Hag says that, these are the players I want. He wouldn't get those players, but he will get players who are probably his second choices. Like this season, he wanted to get Timber in, but we managed to get Lisandro at the last time. Even though it worked out, we didn't get Julian Timber. And the biggest thing out of all of them, I would say, is Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo could have been signed in the summer itself for 21 million, but we waited out on it. And I think it comes to a point when a player starts to think, that would I rather stay at my club where I am right now, just because United aren't able to sign me right now, or can I move to another club who's in the same league, who's probably can finish up, in the same ranks and probably get the same amount of trophies as well. And that's why he ended up going to Liverpool, because we wait out so much on transfers. It gives our rivals, that comfort level and that push to actually get those players from us. And I think Gakpo was a very, very hard one for Erik Ten Hag as well, because I think he was a player who he really wanted to come to United.
Yeah, and you can see why when he plays for Liverpool, because he is extremely versatile. You've seen him play. I
think definitely as a striker, he would have done a massive job at United this season itself.
Yeah, I've seen him play as a midfielder. I've seen him play as a 9, seen him play on the wing. Like, he's played everywhere for him, and he's done a good job there as well. And he played as a 10 for Netherlands, which we've spoken about loads of times as well. So Gakpo was a massive miss for me, because I was huge on him. I remember watching him during the World Cup. I was like, I can't wait for this player to join Manchester United.
He practically carried Netherlands through the group stages.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah. He was really, really good. And I think equally, I think Darwin Núñez will show up for Liverpool next year as well. Yeah. I think once they sort that midfield, I believe McAllister's already agreed personal terms. But once they reamp that midfield, Liverpool next season.
You just need 2 more midfielders, and they're in a good spot. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. And McAllister's a great signing for them. Great signing. Like, he is perfect for their system. That was actually going to be kind of my last question on this De Jong topic and the whole midfield and the transfer saga. If you speak about kind of B options there, having to go for your second choice, what will they be? So if our number one choice is Harry Kane, let's say our number one choice is Bellingham or De Jong. I know we're not going to get Bellingham, but just for hypothetical reasons. Yeah. And let's say our centre-back target is Kim Min-jae.
Yeah.
Who do you think would be the secondary options in them kind of fields?
I think as a for the midfield position, you could go for Lobotka from Napoli. I think he's a very decent player, and probably would cost around the range of 30 to 35 at max. I think he's a decent player for good money. Obviously not on the levels of De Jong, but someone who can just slot in and do a job for us. In the centre back positions, Bella Kochuk could be a player who could come in. Yeah, I think he's a decent player, could come in. Once again, he's left-footed, I think, so he would bring that, I would say, comfort for Lisandro as well, that, when Lisandro isn't available, we don't lose that left-hand and right-hand combination that we have in our centre-backs. And I think the biggest question mark would be the striker position. Who would you go for, if you don't get someone like an Osimhen or someone like a Harry Kane? Because a lot of, I don't know how, but Chelsea want to sign Victor Osimhen, even though they're getting Nkunku and they still have so many players.
They was fine, everyone.
Yeah, they genuinely want Osimhen and are moving forward with that deal. So I don't know how he will slot in.
PSG might want Osimhen as well.
Yeah, PSG might want Osimhen. And with Harry Kane, I think it's either Chelsea or United. One of these 2 clubs, because Poch is moving to Chelsea, so I think one of the first things that he would want would be Harry Kane at his club. So if it's not Harry Kane, if it's not him, probably someone like a Thuram or a Kolo Muani, someone like that could do.
Do you know who I think they might go for? If they can't get Kane, Osimhen's priced out of a move. I think they might go for Gonzalo Ramos.
They could.
That's what I think they might go for.
But he would cross once again. He would cost along the same ranges because he's got
But,
I think a release clause of
yeah,
120
it's got the
million.
release clause.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Sometimes you can kind of negotiate them release clauses. It's not always concrete that you
Yeah,
have
it's
to
not
pay
concrete, but
that.
considering as a
You don't
B
know.
option, you would need someone who would be a little cheaper. I don't think it would be Gonzalo Ramos because
Yeah.
till the time the sale goes through, I don't think we'll practically be able to sign anyone who crosses even that 50 million range because we know that the
Yeah.
Glazers wouldn't like to spend
Gonna
even a
be
penny.
stretched.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be stretched. Shah Sam saying Gakpo, the one that got away. If we got him, we would have been in the title race now. Gakpo would have been instead of Weghorst. The level, the difference. We went for a Dutch player and got the wrong one.
Exactly.
That's what it went out.
I still remember, it was the game against City, the one at Old Trafford where we won 2-1, and we were just 3 points behind City at that time, and 5 points behind Arsenal at that point of time. And that's when, after that game, Weghorst joined us. If after that game Gakpo joined us, you never know. Probably we could have gotten even deeper into the Europa League as well.
Yeah. And you look at the very tight games, like the Brighton one where Luke Shaw gives a penalty away towards the end, the West Ham game. You have a Gakpo or a clinical striker or someone decent in them games, it's an extra 6 points straight away when you're looking at it like that.
The game against Southampton, the game against Crystal Palace.
There was so many where we just lacked a goal scorer. It was great. Yeah, if Rashford is just off the boil, that's it. The goals don't really come from anywhere.
Exactly.
With that in mind, actually, kind of that segues me to the next bit perfectly. We're looking at the attackers we've got in our grasps now, Shreyas. We've got Ahmad, we've got Garnacho, we've got Pellistri coming through. Then the more senior ones, obviously, you've got Rashford, Sancho, Antony, all these kind of guys. Ilanga probably out the door, and maybe with a couple of others. There's been some reports from Fabrizio Romano today about Pellistri and Ahmad. Apparently, United are in advanced talks to extend Facundo Pellistri's contract until June 2028. And discussions with Ahmad's representatives as well will take place in the coming months for a new contract. So it seems like United are tying them down and they see a future with them. I suppose the immediate question with both players is, do you loan both out? Do you bring them in pre-season and see if they can push for the first team? How do you see their future? First of all, what do you want? And how do you see it going for? How do you see it actually going for him, should I say?
I think Ahmad needs to be involved next season, like heavily involved. And I think like this season, we've had so many breakout stars. I think next season, Ahmad will be the breakout star of this team. I genuinely think so. I think when he moves into the PL and starts playing games, I think he'll actually rip it apart. Are
you saying you're on the Ahmad bus with me now? Are you on this?
What I've seen from him, I know he's a very, very good player. Like, he's a very exceptional player. But once again,
you're all welcome. By the way, anyone who wants to get on this Ahmad bus, you're welcome to get on it, mate.
Yeah, it's a very stable. It is a very stable. It has a very stable future as well. The thing with Pellistri is, I think he's good enough to feature for United, at least off the bench or as a super sub. I think he has it in his locker to do that. If his contract is being extended till 2028, it just means that Ten Hag trusts him. Like, Ten Hag sees something in him to actually keep him for that long. I think he goes out on loan next season. And probably get some minutes. I'm still hoping that it's a Portuguese or a German club because I think it will be the perfect fit for a young player like him. And he'll be able to get some much needed development in him and some much needed game time as well. But yes, except that I think when rather than putting Weghorst on in games, when we see Martial getting taken off at the 67th minute or the 65th minute, I would rather have Pellistri come on because I think he offers us something off the ball. Like, he's not scared, or he's not someone who can't even hold up the ball or doesn't have the pace to attack during transitions, because in the games that he has played, he's been a live wire of that right wing side every single time he's come on. So hopefully he gets some more minutes in the later stages of this season. Probably, I think if we win our next game, we could be seeing more of him in the final game, considering we've practically we've secured top 4. So I think that's the only thing that probably keeping Ten Hag a little bit restrained when it comes to giving minutes to the young players, because he knows that this team can fall apart at any second and just concede 2 to 3 goals. So,
this is going to be my next question for you, actually. We've got Lewis Jackson in the chat with a hot take saying Pellistri will be another flash in the pan. Big statement from Lewis there. But yeah, look, you look at the away, the performances from Sancho, the performances from Antony. Why do you think? Is that the reason why you think Ten Hag hasn't given him a full run out in this team? Is it something he sees in his game? Is it a pressure thing? Is it something defensive there? Because everything I've seen from him, Shreyas,
Yeah.
he works hard off the ball. He keeps his shape good. He's good on it. He has got an injection of pace. He's skillful. Great close control. So what is it, do you think he's looking at? And he's like, maybe he's not ready yet. Or maybe it's a mentality thing. What do you reckon?
I think it just probably comes down to experience. I think it just comes down to experience, because I think when he sees at his bench and he looks at players, he says, who here has the experience to actually come on in a game, be able to just resist the pressure, and be able to do a job and get us 3 points today. And he looks at his bench of the attackers list. He's just got Weghorst, and except that he's got Fred or McTominay on the bench, so he doesn't really have that many options. If you probably had another winger, an experienced winger on the bench, probably then you might think that you can bring him on as well as this young player on, because it offers them that comfort zone to actually play their game with a lot more freedom. But I think he knows that he's in a very delicate spot right now. That even one loss can actually just change the complexion of the whole table completely. And I think that's the only thing he wants to avoid, which I get as well, because we've had some shocking performances this season. Even when we've been playing convincing and good football, we haven't really been able to convert them into results. So I think that's the thing that is actually keeping him from giving these young players that many minutes. But yeah, I think next season, whether he goes out if he doesn't go out on loan, I think he'll be very, very much involved. And I think preseason will be key for all three: Garnacho, Ahmad, as well as Pellistri.
Lewis saying City's bench worth millions, basically billions. City's bench is beating Chelsea's first team. I don't think our bench could beat any of the Premier League teams. That's it. It's depth. It's all about depth.
Exactly.
And depth as well comes from youth. Rising up the ranks. Phil Foden came up through the ranks. Cole Palmer, who's playing for City in a minute, came through the ranks. You've got Rico Lewis, who came through the ranks at City. So they're doing them things right there as well. We've got it right in the attacking areas. I've mentioned the players already mentioned look fantastic, and they're 18, 20. So there's a huge future there. But one thing I'm worried about, Shreyas, is the kind of the raw talent and the future in the midfield. Let's say, for example, I know you've seen bits of Kobe Mainoo. I know we've seen bits of Zidane Iqbal, but I don't think they're at that level where they excite me as much as an Ahmad or a Garnacho or a Pellistri. I think they're a step behind that. So do you think it's kind of important to look at these areas now in our next kind of scouting adventure?
I think in the in the next generation, I would say pretty much of our midfield, we need someone who can play, who can replace Casemiro. We need someone who can replace Bruno as well. I think before Bruno, I would say the number 8, because I think Bruno's the way he plays as well, I think he can at least go on for another 5 seasons. At least another 5 seasons, the way he plays. And his fitness levels, he doesn't even have an injury record. I think I don't think he's actually ever gotten injured while he's been on the pitch. So I think with Bruno we are secure, but I think for the other 2 spots, because Casemiro is 30, I think you could still keep him for at least 4 to 5 seasons, I would say, just to offer that, veteran mentality in that team. You need that sort of play, some sort of players like that as well. But yeah, I think of that number 8 position, we need depth, because Fred won't be here. I don't think McTominay would be here. Sabitzer won't be here. Eriksen won't be here. So even if we sign someone like a Declan Rice, or if we even whoever we sign, we need, and at least another 2 players to offer us depth in that position.
Yeah. Just up and coming. I think we bought Garnacho for 9 million from Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Go out there, get your stalls out, have a look, see what kind of midfielders up and coming in the style of a De Jong that you want, and bring them through and have a look. That's what I want to see this summer as well. Get some astute buyers like that. Because when we first bought Ahmad, everyone was like, why the fuck have we spent 30 million on this kid? Obviously, it's 20 odd plus add-ons or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but
and
he's
still got one. He's still got a goal as well in the short time that he got in the role. He managed to score a goal. Yeah, against Milan. He scored a header. So hopefully, I think next season a lot of people would be actually able to understand what his game is completely all about. And I'm actually interested as to how Ten Hag actually visualizes him in this team. Whether he actually sees him as a right winger, he sees him as a false 9, he sees him as just a forward who can, probably come on during transitions, or whether he sees him as a 10. Because if you don't get a midfielder next season, I'm still saying play Ahmad in the 10 and shift Bruno to the 8.
I think there's a lot of rotation you can do. Same with Bruno, innit? He's a
Yeah.
very similar player who you can kind of field him in a different kind
Bruno's
of
even
areas.
played as a false nine. He's played as a winger. He's played as a 10. He's played as an 8, as a 6. I think if you have to look from any position, starting from the midfield to the attack, Bruno has played in every single position this season.
We've got a Moondog in the chat saying, congratulations on securing 4th, lads. Also, De Jong wouldn't be as smart. You should be going for lower profile players, and the big name buys cost too much and too much hype comes with them. I don't think it's hype with De Jong though. I've watched De Jong plenty of times for Barcelona, and sometimes in top European games he's been the best player on the pitch. I don't think it's hype. I think De Jong's the real deal, and I think there's not many players like him in Europe, in my personal opinion. It mentions lower profile, but who's lower profile you go get? I know we're being linked with Rabiot, but Rabiot's got bad attitude problems from what you've seen. Who else have we been linked with in that 8 position? Like, I can't even think of it. I know Bellingham, definitely not. He's going to go Madrid. He won't sign for United. I can tell you that right now. It won't happen. So, I don't know. You've heard a lot about Kane. You've heard a lot about Kim Min-jae. But you haven't heard, aside from De Jong or Bellingham, about the number 8. Unless I'm missing something. I've not seen much about it. So
you never know whether he's signing Timber as a CDM as well.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know what he's going to do. Ten Hag signed Haller for Ajax, and everyone was like, what the fuck's going on here? And then he scored 11 group goals, and I was like, right, okay, interesting. So maybe Rabiot can come in and do a job. I don't know. He must see something in him because we've been linked with him a couple of times now. Shah Sam's asking, I wonder what you will do if we sign De Jong. You wait and see, Shah Sam. You wait and see. Outside, the same thing what I'm going to do for the Glazers when they leave. I will be outside Old Trafford with a bottle of champagne, popping it. I'm telling you, it'll happen. Absolutely, it'll happen. It's either one, so that's what will go down. What if he goes to
Liverpool or City?
The cork off the champagne that I'm popping will go into his eye when he arrives at Liverpool Anfield.
Because last season, any single player you liked and wanted to come to United managed to go to our rival clubs.
Yeah, Gakpo, Nunes. Yeah, it all happened, unfortunately. Speaking about players potentially leaving, Dean Henderson, this is kind of the last topical item I wanted to discuss, Shreyas. As we know, Forest beat Arsenal yesterday to ensure that, first and foremost, Forest stay in the Premier League and to cement Arsenal bottling it, basically. And someone from the Telegraph, Jay Percy, I don't know a specific name, but Telegraph are usually quite credible, and they're saying Nottingham Forest will seek to recruit Dean Henderson now that their maintenance is assured. The situation will be determined by David De Gea's future at Manchester United. Now, I think I know the answer on both parts. And again, chat, get involved. Let me know about Dean Henderson because there's some hot takes on him. Some people want him to stay. But I think I know the answer with yourself. Are you happy to sell him? And again, similar to the De Jong question, how much do you think we can get for Dean Henderson?
40 million.
40 million pounds, you reckon?
Because he's English.
Oh, yeah, true. That's a good point. I think if we could get 40 million pounds, I would snap your fucking hand off. I don't think we'll get that much. But if we could...
I think even if we get around the ranges of 30 million, I think at least 30 million we could get for him. At least 30. And we could push it off to 35 or 40 on clauses or something else. I
think 30 at a push because his wages are quite high as well. And I don't know what the situation is with Keylor Navas. Is he going back to PSG? Because he's only a loan.
He's going back to PSG, but he won't be staying. I think.
Fantastic keeper, Navas, by the way.
I think one of the most underrated keepers of this generation.
Yeah, I would say it's someone we'd look at, but I think he provides similar issues to what De Gea does. I think he's a fantastic shot stopper. I don't think he's as great as an Alisson or an Edison in terms of distribution. But that's one, I suppose, a debate for another day. Any possibility at all? Not in your opinion, like you want him to come back, but any possibility he could become United's number one? What percentage?
I think
would you give him?
30-70. Because 30, because I think when he left, he said he had a lot of things to say about it, and when he left, he didn't talk to Ten Hag. He never.
I'm in a cage.
Yeah,
I'm in a
exactly.
cage.
I think Ten Hag wouldn't know that. Even when I came back, this player didn't really talk to me. This player never really contacted me before leaving. He just made a decision all upon himself because there were a lot of players who wanted to leave this season. And a lot of them talked to Ten Hag. A lot of them were reassured. At least, if players decided to leave, like players like Andreas Pereira and players like that, even if they wanted to leave, they had a conversation with the manager first. Dean Henderson never had that conversation. So,
did you see the quotes that came out about him? Yeah, he was like, well, I didn't want to train because if the manager saw me, then he might have picked me. Like, Give over, mate. Give over.
Exactly.
You're not that good. Fucking hell. You're not,
He's not
fully
starting for
performing in
England.
his prime. Yeah, like, if the manager saw me, I didn't want to train just in case he saw me and he said, Dean, you're starting today, mate. You're like, fucking hell. Come off it, you absolute idiot. Why do you think it hasn't worked out? Because I remember, a season under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer where the whole debate for the whole season was De Gea or Henderson. Henderson's good at this, but De Gea's good at that. Blah blah blah. Why did it work out in that season? Why do you think he didn't really get his kind of break in that season?
I think because De Gea is too good. At least at that point of time, he was. Because
Yeah.
I think if you looked at the season during COVID, when we made to the Europa League final, or the season when Ronaldo came back as well. In the season that Ronaldo came back as well, De Gea was one of the reasons why we stayed in the Europa League qualification, why we were able to at least not go further down from sixth or fifth. And even before that, I think De Gea had a very good season. And Henderson got a lot of opportunities in the league and in cup games, but the thing is when it comes to shot stopping, and especially during Ollie's time, you don't need a keeper who can distribute that much. The reason being, for Henderson to play his game, for Henderson to play his that sort of game as a modern keeper, you can't play that with someone like Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof and Van Bissaka and Luke Shaw in front of you, because they've not got that sort of headspace where they would like to pass out from the back. Under Oli, it was more like quick transition into counter attack into and the goal. That was the only way we used to play, and most of the time the attack used to be Lindelof, a long ball to Marcus Rashford, or just pass the ball to Bruno and he used to ping it to Martial or Rashford. That was the only play we used to create for our players. And for that to work, whenever you used to get pressured, when Bruno used to lose the ball, you needed someone who could actually stop the ball, and De Gea was the finest keeper you would want in that in that sort of role. If you just want someone who could short stop any single moment of the game as well. Because I think the thing was that I think it was he was loaned out to Sheffield United at one point of time, where he had a very good season.
Did well, yeah.
The thing with Sheffield was, that keeper there has to make saves at practically every single moment of the game. At
United, it's isolated, isn't it? It's
exactly.
1A.
Yeah. At United, the thing is, you need a keeper who can do that job, but in moments. You wouldn't expect a keeper at Manchester United, to be stopping the ball at every single second of the game. Probably during the first half at 2 occasions or 3 occasions. So you need a keeper who is alert at those sort of moments, and David De Gea had the experience over Dean Henderson in doing that sort of job.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. Yeah. Moondog makes a great point here. Pay De Gea too much not to play, and that's another thing as well as wages. Like, you can't bench a keeper's on 375 grand a week. Impossible. You just cannot do that. So that, take into account, in fairness. If I'm Manchester United now, depending on what happens with the ownership situation, the ownership situation as well, but David De Gea's contract, if De Gea chooses to leave and goes back to Spain or whatever, and we need a new keeper, which will be evident if he does, I would bring Dean Henderson back into the fold in front of the media's eyes, and I would promote it like he's going to be United's next goalkeeper to push his price up.
Yeah.
And then when it gets like July-ish, I would be like, right, see if there's any kind of offers on the table. If we could recruit, 30 to 40 million at a push for him, then you put that towards a Diogo Costa. You got 30 million, mate, or whoever it is you want to go for. Maybe you get David Raya. David Raya's got 1 year left on his contract. That is someone I said, if we're stretched for funds, David Raya is someone I would look at and I would take 100%. Especially if you get 30, 40 million for Henderson, go get Raya, because he ain't going to cost you that much. And he's an upgrade. He's better than Henderson, and he's better than De Gea in terms of how Ten Hag wants to play, the build up from the back, the distribution, all that kind of stuff. So that is how I personally would handle the situation. Whether United do that or not, again, it's all up in there, isn't it, Shayaz? Because of the
because I think it was a thing came out that most of the signings that we could probably be making this season would depend on the players we are able to sell, and probably we generate revenue of the player sales we do. So if you have to look at players who could bring in the most money for us, Dean Henderson is one of the names who could bring us more money than if you have to look into players like Maguire or players like that. I think, or Brandon Williams. I think he's the player, one of the player who could get us 30 to 35 million, something in that sort of range.
Him and McTominay are like
Yeah,
the two
him and
I
McTominay,
looking at.
and I would
Like,
say even Fred, him, McTominay as well as Fred. I think we would still get.
yeah, you've been just going to pick you up on that as well, because you mentioned Fred quite a lot, haven't you? And it's someone who a lot of people don't kind of mention when we're talking about outgoings, but it is really like if you're going to sell him, a player who's energetic and gets stuck in like him is only going to get much worse as he gets older.
Exactly,
when you lose
because
your, like,
right now the only thing that Fred offers us on the pitch is his energy. And when a player starts to go into the later stages of his career, that that energy starts to actually subside a lot, because he's not someone like a Modric who's got that insane creativity or passing ability and with his feet. He's not that sort of player. He's a player who works on energy and his pace, and how lively he is in the midfield, and that definitely is going to subside with time. So, and this is the last time you could actually make a profit out of him. Once again, he's had I would say, decent season according to Fred standards. And before you give him a new contract this season, you could get at least 25 million for him. You probably make 50% of what you paid for him in a way if you raise 25 million of Fred. So I would actually sell him this window, because I don't want Fred to stay, because I think he's inconsistent when it comes to big games, and if you have to look at someone reliable enough to come on and just see the game out, and I think probably if someone is coming off through the youth system, he's one player who could steal that spot from that youth player.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that as well, to be fair. Fred's definitely a big shout for outgoing. I'm sure we're going to do a video when the season ends about all the outgoings and incoming potential and the prices, and we'll do a big video on that, as well as the end of season review as well. We've got 12 people in the chat. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around these parts. Mike82's in the chat saying, let's not waste our time going for De Jong. He's happy where he is and he's forced to move. I don't think he'll be happier in his football. Ashley Dallow saying, hi mates, I've just joined. Don't know if you've already talked about it, but please, we don't want De Jong. He does not want to come. I think I'm the only one who still wants Frenkie de Jong. Anyone who's spoken to, they're just
think
like,
definitely, as a player, I would want someone like De Jong. I would say, because I think he's the perfect key to that jigsaw puzzle. But he's just, I think he's just very, very happy at Barcelona right now with the football he's playing. I think
I take that. Let me interject with those Shreyas, right? If you want the best, you have to kind of push for the best, regardless of the situation. You have to be at that point waiting for him to cut. If that's the person who fits that system better than anybody else, I'll put my stall out. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We can always focus on other targets. But I just think I can't think of a better player with a better age profile right now who would do a better job than Frenkie de Jong in that midfield.
Definitely, no doubt about it.
Anyone in the chat, welcome to put it in the comment section, and I'll happily debate it.
Yeah, but I think the only thing, once again, that ticks me off about him is that when he comes, there will be that thought in my mind that said that he was happier to stay at Barcelona rather than to come to feature for Manchester United, and that was one of the things that ticked me off last season as well, when we were linked with him for the whole summer window. And once again, I would say that the reason why we didn't get De Jong was because he didn't want to come himself last season. Because I don't know how many times Richard Arnold and John Motto went to Barcelona last season. I really don't know how many times they went, and they couldn't secure one deal.
There must have been something there.
Yeah, there must have been something there. Once again, I think Barcelona actually gave them the green sign to actually move forward with this deal, but De Jong didn't want to come. He wanted to stay at Barcelona. He was ready to play as a centre back or even just stay on the bench for them. That's how much he wanted to stay at Barcelona. Yeah. He didn't want to get constant minutes as well. He just wanted to stay there, and that speaks volumes for a player. When it comes to loyalty, and he doesn't want to leave Barcelona. I think he still stays for them. I think at least for the next 3 to 4 years, I think he stays, because I think he's become a mainstay in that system for Xavi as well. Like, he's been getting constant minutes alongside Pedri and Gavi.
Do you know what's funny as well? Knowing you're probably right. In 4 years' time, 5 years' time, when he's 30 years old, that's when we'll sign him.
Exactly.
Like we did with Casemiro.
Exactly, with Casemiro.
We've actually signed him. And then they'll do flashbacks like 4 years ago to when Murta and Arnold were flying out to Barcelona.
Yeah, and
they'd be
once again, we'll have all those Serge Milinkovic-Savic rumors as well that he wants to come. That he's being looked into. I don't know how old he is right now as well.
That boat has been there for so long. That's been there since Mourinho days, Milinkovic-Savic. You'd be quite happy to know, Shreyas, you've got quite a few Pellistri fans in the chat. Ashley Dallow, who I haven't seen for a while, to be fair. So hello to Ashley.
Hello.
A hot minute seeing your name in the chat. But he's saying Pellistri is the next best thing to come up for United after Garnacho. Mark my word, he will explode next season.
Yeah.
Big words. You also got Mike82 as well saying Pellistri I want to see more of. And you got Shah Sam saying I'm with you. De Jong is the one nobody beats a De Jong, Casemiro, Bruno midfield. Again, I tend to agree with that. Shah Sam is a real Red Ultra, by the way. If you want to become a real Red Ultra, there's 2 spots left in the starting 11. We've got 9 members in the team. And when we get the full 11, we're going to do a live show and randomise who gets to feature on the show with us. Like an hour-long show about whatever it is you want to talk about. So if you want to become a real Red Ultra, click the join button next to the notification bell. Smash like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Another comment I'll just read out very quickly and then I'll let you kind of jump on it, Shreyas. Ashley Dallow again saying, I want De Jong, but his heart is with Barca. Real let Casemiro leave because he wanted Man United, and we all know the result. If a player plays where he doesn't want, it'll be disaster. Remember Alexis? Yeah, I agree. I agree with that side of it, where you do have to have that part where they want to come.
Yeah.
But like I said, there was something going on behind closed doors that we didn't know about. He obviously spoken to Ten Hag and he was open to the move, but it was financial issues that needed to be resolved in a way. They owed him. Don't forget, by the way, they owed him like £15 million in wages. Yeah, probably more in wages. So you're not just going to leave and be like, yeah, you can have that. Don't worry about that. And then I'll move to Man United. It's never going to work out like that. So that's something we need to remember, innit, Shreyas?
Yeah, but I just don't want another Paul Pogba situation is all I'm saying, because when he signed, we managed to pretty much sign one of the best prospects in Europe when it came to the midfield. And when he was signed, people were saying that, at least for the next 6 to 7 years, you're sorted in the midfield because you've got practically one of the best players in the midfield at that sort of time. And that didn't work out that much because for the most time that Pogba was at Manchester United, all that was being rumored was that he misses Juventus. He misses his time at Juventus. He wants to go back to Juventus.
He's out for ages.
Yeah.
Played, and then I was back out again.
Exactly.
And you're like, thank God. I never wish injury upon anyone, but thank God we've not got him at our club anymore. I can't be arsed with that fucking circus. Really
exactly.
Can't.
And I think you still got a lot of players who could come in and do a job for us at United for a foreseeable future, I would say, in that midfield position. If you don't get De Jong, you've got loads of players in the Premier League itself, and I would say you've got loads of players in that Italian league as well who've been doing fantastically well. Players like Barella, players like Tonali. There are a lot of really, really good and talented players. Yeah.
Barella's really good.
Barella is a very good player, and I hope he plays his best game against Manchester City and plays his heart out on that pitch.
Fingers crossed. One can only hope.
Yeah, and if in a turn of events we might get Barella, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I genuinely wouldn't be opposed to it. I think he would slot right in into that midfield alongside Casemiro.
Agreed. Right, we're going to end it with one question, Shreyas, and Dan's put an absolute cracker in here. I don't know if you've seen it, but he says Pellistri or your hair. So if we had to sell Pellistri or you had to shave your head off, your hair, what are you doing?
I wouldn't do it for Pellistri, but might do it for the hair.
For the hair?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, to sign a new contract?
It would just be very hard for me to, see. I know all the realistics, I know everything that is going on, but it would just be too hard for me to see him go. Like I've been seeing him pretty much from 2008. When I started to watch Manchester United as a kid, and he's been there every single season after it. Like when I first bought my first ever jersey that I bought was the green kit that we had in 2011 with that patches of red patches, the Nike kit. Yeah. So that was the first kit that I ever bought, and it had the hair written on the back of it. So
a bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, it's just been so long for me to seeing David De Gea, and I've seen a lot of these fan channels have absolute meltdowns after playing Manchester United just because of David De Gea. So yeah. It would just be very, very hard for me to see someone like that go. Like, if it's like, someone's been watching Wayne Rooney ever since they've been a kid and then he moved to Everton. So it would be something like that for me. So yeah, it would be very difficult for me to see that happen. But yeah, I know it will happen sometime soon.
Mike82 saying I ain't got any hair. Yeah, so obviously we can't kind of do that scenario with you. But if you've got any pets or kids or you got a wife, would you rather her have a skinhead? Or De Gea leave, or one of your favourite players for that matter. Dan's saying to some extent, Shreyas looks like De Gea. I don't see it if he takes his glasses off. I don't see that, to be honest. I really don't see it. But Dan, maybe you're seeing. Let's have a look. No, I don't see De Gea there at all. I really don't. So sorry. Hashtag Dallo saying, I would shave my head for De Gea too. This man literally kept us alive to qualify for Europe during the past 5 to 6 years. I love Dave. Dave saves. He did it again yesterday. A lot of love for De Gea as well. Moondog saying Liverpool experience yesterday with Bobby, so we know how you'd feel if De Gea leaves. Yeah, but Firmino had a bit of a farewell, didn't he? A bit of a cry and all that kind of jazz. And then Mike's put, oh, the wife is getting shaved. Dave, that's your title there, Mike. Dave Staves, the wife's getting shaved. Perfect. Newspaper headline, grab it. Yeah, I would never give myself a skinhead for whatever player, even if, I don't know, can't think. Lissandro threatened to leave unless I shaved my head. Not a chance. Not a chance. I can't be getting out with
What if Frankie de Jong said shave your head? That's the only situation I come to United.
I wouldn't. There's certain people who suit having a shaved head. I am not one of them. I am really not one of them. So I remember doing a bald filter. You know, you get filters on Snapchat and Instagram. I remember doing one and going, oh my God, no, never, ever am I ever shaving my head.
Yeah.
So
I still remember Adam said that he would shave his head if Ten Hag came to United.
I do. I remember that.
Hasn't done that.
Yeah. I would look like one of them roll-on deodorants if I got my hair cut. Do you know what you put under your armpit? That's what I'd look like. So it's a no for me. Sorry. It's a no. I think that's the best way to end the show, isn't it, to be fair? We've spoken about everything. You've got a bit of comedy element. Yeah. We've had a decent chat. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Shreyas is still laughing. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Smash the like on the video. Subscribe to your favourite football fan channel that's dedicated to Manchester United. And like I said, if you want to become a real Red Ultra for the price of £4 a month, it helps support the channel. You get exclusive content every Monday that nobody else can watch, a chance to feature on the show, and a badge next to your name as well, the Real Red Ultra badge. So please do consider joining it. We've got 2 spots left on the starting 11, and they're going to go like that. So, yeah. Again, thank you to everyone who tuned in. This week, obviously, we play Chelsea on Thursday, so we'll have the preview for the Chelsea game on Wednesday. Tomorrow will be the Premier League roundup, one of the last we've got one more game week of the Premier League, so that'll be, literally tomorrow will be the second to last roundup of the Prem. A breaking news show on Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll have the ownership details to discuss. The Chelsea preview on Wednesday. We'll have the match day, the watch along on Thursday. There's loads of content, loads of content for you guys. So thank you very much for everyone tuning in. Appreciate every single one of you, and a big thank you to Shreyas for coming on as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We'll see you all very, very soon.
Yeah, and next time Shreyas is on, he'll have a skinhead for you. So remember that. See you in a bit, guys.
See ya.
Peace.